How can this force impact and influence our life, and how, with its help, can we create a better life for all of us? We live in a world with many uncertainties, lots of chaos, and we have an amazing force here. Were we able to take this powerful force and see how can we manage our lives the way we'd like to with its help, because eventually what we want is for all of us to be well off. So I'd like to open with a question of how does the power of thought influence our life? How does it impact our reality? We know that a thought can cause us to do many different things. Feel better, like the placebo medicine, for example. Good thoughts make us feel good. Bad thoughts make us feel doleful. What is the influence of the power of thought over our body, our life, our reality? It's hard for me to answer that because the power of thought actually operates and completes everything. It seems to us that we do something out of thought. But the truth is, there is nothing more powerful than the power of thought. And let's see, according to all the different levels of creation, still, vegetative, animate, humans, what's the difference between them? The power of thought. Physically speaking, animals are much stronger than we are, but it's only the thought. The thought depends on the desire. The stronger the desire is, the more powerful the thought has to be in order to fulfill that desire, provide for it, serve it. Because if a child's desire is small, all in all, what does he want? Small things. Then his thought is also small. Let's depict something else. Suppose if a desire is 10 grams and the power of thought is 5 grams. So the desire is greater than the thought, so he can do foolish things because the thought doesn't cover the desire, doesn't manage the desire. And then that creature, suppose that small child, he'll be dangerous. Therefore, we're constantly teaching him, look, this is allowed, this isn't, this is preferable. We constantly want for his desire to be covered by the thought. Can we teach him how to think? This is what we do with the child all the time. Even looking at animals, I see that a lioness takes her offsprings, goes someplace, shows them what and how to do. I saw many such nature films and teaches them and so on and so forth, and that's how everyone is. They go walking together and she shows them what to do, what not to do, and where can you capture something and eat, what to be careful of. Besides, animals have instincts. A small child doesn't have instincts. We have to complete his mind and thought instead of instincts. He can reach the end and fall. An animal won't fall. It has an inner force that stops it. What's an instinct? An instinct is a thinking program that exists in a person and for sure in an animal, and this program works without a person's choice. So a person barely has such programs called instincts, thinking programs. And why? Because he has to actually adapt, acquire such programs which will not limit him, but on the contrary, that will raise him to an even higher level. Were we to have such a program as exists in animals, not to fall, not to come too close, not to do this or that like there is in animals. We couldn't rise to a higher level. It limits. We couldn't rise to a higher level, to the human level. But because we can even endanger our lives and even come to the point of putting ourselves to death, therefore we can rise to a higher level than ourselves, because rising from one level to the next means to put ourselves to death on the current level and rise to a higher level. Therefore, the instincts don't exist in the human level like in animals at all to allow development. Yes, we have hundreds, thousands of thoughts per day. Of course, I can come out of a meeting and say I had an amazing meeting, to be happy about the meeting. Suddenly I hear on the news there was a terror act, and suddenly I get these worrying thoughts. Our thoughts are constantly changing. It's very dynamic. Where do these thoughts come from? What influences them? Ooh, this is a very high question. Where do the thoughts come from? Our thoughts come from the general computer of nature, which is called the center of reality, the center of creation, or, in other words, it'll confuse us a bit, but still, it's called Shekhinah, divinity, a higher force, a higher thought. The center of creation, I imagine it as some great big computer center. Does my personal computer exist there in the center of creation too? There, all of us are included together in the collective computer. And that is the source of my particular private thought if I'm driving in my car or whatever. There is nothing particular or personal like we imagine it in this world. We're in an illusion. It's an imagination that, as if we are operating in a separate way where we do not belong to one another. But the truth is that that's how it is. We're all interconnected, and all of us are connected to one system, one computer. And it controls us, and it governs us through our thoughts and desires.